Hello again, everybody. We are here in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is your Inside Carolina crew. Adam Smith, our guy Jeremiah Holloway, Sophie Watson back there running the camera for us, our intrepid video intern. And it is early October, but today is ACC Tipoff. It's the preseason basketball media day. Kind of crazy to think about. Football's in full swing, and guess what? Basketball season is coming. And you know the deal. The Carolina sent their representatives here today, Coach Hubert Davis, RJ Davis, Seth Trimble, the two guards. And they made the rounds just like all the other 18 teams in this huge, bloated league now. And you know, we've talked to the Tar Heels today. They spent time there in the main interview stage. We got a chance to talk to them in the breakout rooms. I spent some time, Jeremiah, with RJ Davis, who needs no introduction, obviously. The reigning ACC Player of the Year, first team All-American from last year. And, you know, it's always, I find it interesting hearing what RJ had to say coming off the season that he had. I mean, the guy averaged 21 points a game. And one of the things we're going to try to write about for Inside Carolina is, you know, there are a lot of achievements in play for RJ this year. Personal-wise, this guy could end up as the school's all-time leading scorer. He could surpass Tyler Hansbrough if he has another year like he had last year, which would be a tall order. But if he duplicates that, he's going to leave. Granted, it's in 5 years, but he's going to leave as UNC's all-time leading scorer and the ACC's all-time leading scorer, because Tyler Hansbrough is the ACC's all-time leading scorer. But when I was asking him about that today, he did say, look, my legacy is something that's important to me, but, you know, winning sort of trumps all. And, you know, the most elusive thing in his mind has been a national championship. Obviously, they came close 2 years ago, but, you know, it was kind of interesting hearing him talk about. He was even at one point. We let him know that if he does set the UNC scoring record for his career, that makes him the ACC's all-time leading scorer. He said, "Oh, I didn't even realize that. I knew Tyler Hansbrough had the UNC record. I didn't know he had the ACC record." So that was some of the stuff that we're sort of talking about with him today. It was good to, you know, sit down and chat with him. I know you spent some time over at Seth Trimble's table, I believe. You know, love Seth Trimble. What were some of your takeaways as you got a chance to talk with Seth?
Yeah, for sure. It was great to, you know, talk to Seth Trimble. Of course, UNC had their in-house media day last week, and we were, you know, talking to everybody at that point, including RJ Davis and Seth Trimble. And one thing that Seth Trimble was talking about, I actually was asking him a little bit about the rebounding that UNC lost last year, and then also how they plan to make that up. So at first he started off talking about how the front court players are going to factor into that, right, with the Jalen Washingtons, and he said Kay Tyson was actually somebody that surprised him from a rebounding standpoint as well. But then he started talking about himself, and I was asking him, you know, what would be the guard's role in that. And so of course he was saying, you know, the one guard and the two guard kind of go back, you know, to the other side when the shot goes up, but as a three, you know, you kind of crash the glass. And over the summer and over the offseason, he spent time working out at the three with, of course, an RJ and an Elliot Cadeau kind of in that backcourt spot.
That'd be a small backcourt.
It would be very small.
The small forward.
Absolutely, a small forward.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because he did play at the three a little bit sometimes last year. They had lineups last year that was Elliot Cadeau, RJ Davis, and Seth Trimble at the three. And so he's really going to be more of a wing player in some ways, because you do have Kay Tyson sliding in at the four. You have Drake Powell coming in at the four. So it's really going to be him and Ian Jackson are your wings. Now, obviously, Drake can still be a wing, but that's a position that he might play. And he did say he played a lot at the one and the two, but he also said, you know, the 1, 2, and the 3 is essentially what he's going to be this season. He actually joked a little bit in media day and was like, I can play the 4 if they need me to. And we know he has that, you know, that vertical as well. But yeah, so it was really good to talk to him. And of course, he did detail again, and he's been asked a lot about returning to UNC after going into the transfer portal. Right. So he did go into that a little bit too. But I think he's going to be an interesting player this year. He's one of the 5 returners on this current UNC team. So it was good to, of course, hear from him and just, you know, his perspectives on this season and his role within that.
You know how it is at one of these things, these players and these coaches get asked a lot of the same questions. You know, sometimes it's sort of the same 5, 6, 7 questions. And one of the things that stuck out to me, I don't know if you picked up on it during sort of the main stage when UNC was in there in the press conference room, was my ears perked up and I heard Hubert Davis say, this is a quieter team this year. which, I mean, it almost, there's no way it probably could be any louder. When you had the voice of an Armando Bacot last year, you had the voice of a Cormac Ryan, you had the voice of a Harrison Ingram. I mean, Cormac and Harrison were, by all accounts, psychos in a good way. They fired that team up. But Hubert today saying this is a quieter team, obviously I think it's right. And to what he was saying, the point he was trying to make was this team is trying to find its voice. And, I mean, do you see that as aside from points and rebounds and assists and things like that, I feel like that is one of the things that this team has to figure out between now and when they get started playing, wouldn't you say?
It's definitely a bit of a question mark, and the reason I say that is because, of course, you did have Cormac Ryan, who was obviously, he was, a 25-year-old, and people really looked to his they looked to his instruction a lot. A lot of times during games and in huddles, you would see him kind of, talking to the different guys and saying, hey, this is something you need to do. There's a lot of pictures of him doing that as well. Harrison Ingram was certainly a rah-rah guy, and he kind of led by example in that regard. A little bit of an enforcer. If there was a skirmish on the court, he was most likely
to get chesty.
9 times out of 10 was involved in that. Armando's obviously a silly guy, so he brings a lot of voices into the room as well. When I was talking to Seth Trimble, he actually said, RJ is our guy, but he can't be the only one leading. And so that was certainly something. And this is a team that has, RJ is a fifth-year senior. This is going to be Jalen Withers' fifth year for, all intents and purposes, and then Ty Claude. So there is experience on this team, but for the most part, it's a young team. Now, obviously, RJ is the most experienced within this program, so of course they're going to look to his leadership. And obviously, he's an on-court leader with his play. But certainly finding that voice, it's going to be a process, I think, with this team, and that's something that they've been open about and admitting. And so now it's really just a matter of who's going to step up and how even will RJ slide into that leadership position and really make that his own in a way.
Yeah, RJ was able to thrive last year in a lot of ways because Cormac and Harrison didn't mind doing the dirty work. And he didn't mind calling people out. Those guys didn't mind calling people out when they had to, and it worked for that team. And this team obviously will have to find what it wants. RJ was saying today, we just want to be playing the first week in April, which seemed like a long way from now. So stay tuned with us. We'll wrap it up here from Media Days in beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. What a day! Fall is falling out here. Stick with us. In 5 days, I guess it is, Jeremiah, we'll be out in Memphis, Tennessee for the first exhibition game for this UNC team against Memphis, benefiting the St. Jude Children's Hospital. And then I think it's 25 days from now, the 2024-25 season tips off against Elon in the Smith Center in Chapel Hill. It's coming quick. Stay with us. We'll try to keep you posted on everything. But signing off from here, it's your IC crew, Adam Smith, Jeremiah Holloway, Sophie Watson working the camera. We'll talk to you guys later.